What's your poison?
Good evening, folks. This is Moxie. Welcome back to What's Your Poison? Tonight we are going to be talking about screwdrivers and sex terms. So, we're going to talk about the origins of some of these terms. Some of them surprised me. I learned a lot, actually, preparing for this episode. And not all from my own research. But I will say I am a little tipsy because I have been drinking screwdrivers all evening of various kinds while doing my research. So bear with me. First of all, so a screwdriver, if you're not aware, is orange juice and vodka. Couldn't get easier. I actually looked for a long time about the origin of this, and then I Googled again like 10 minutes ago just to see, and it was right there up front. So I don't know if it's like a new article or what, but this guy, Victorino Matus, M-A-T-U-S, wrote a book called Vodka, How a Colorless, Odorless, Flavorless Spirit Conquered America. And he wrote that decades ago, American oil workers in the Persian Gulf discreetly added vodka to their orange juice while they were on the job, and since they didn't have a spoon to stir it with, they would use their screwdrivers. I think that's a pretty reasonable story. I'm just going to go with that. But there are variations of screwdrivers, and I have had a fair few of these today. So the regular screwdriver is just 1 part vodka, 2 parts OJ. Mine was far lower octane than that because I knew I was going to be having several. The creamsicle is OJ and vanilla vodka. I use whipped cream vodka whenever vanilla is called for because it's creamier and tastes better. There's something called a slow screw. That's just a screwdriver with the addition of sloe gin. I just tried sloe gin for the first time today for this cocktail, and I must say it tastes like medicine. I don't really get the appeal. Thank God it came in a mini. Anyway, slow comfortable screw is sloe gin and Southern Comfort. A slow comfortable screw against the wall is the addition of sloe gin, Southern Comfort, and Galliano. And if you're not familiar with Galliano, it comes in a beautiful, tall, skinny bottle. It's flared out at the bottom. It's bright yellow. And it's kind of licoricey, but really sweet. And I actually really love it. It was very popular in the 70s because there was a popular cocktail called a Harvey Wallbanger, which is another... Basically, it's just a screwdriver with Galliano in it. But it's tasty, and that's where you get the screw against the wall, Harvey Wallbanger. Unfortunately, I didn't go to Bruce's house and steal any of his Galliano, so I wasn't able to make a screw against the wall. But, moving on. A slow, comfortable screw against the wall Mexican style is everything I just said with the Galliano, but then you add tequila, which sounds terrible to me. So I'm really glad that I didn't have the Galliano because I would have had to try that. One that I did try was the sonic screwdriver. If you know me, you know I love Doctor Who. I have the 4th Doctor in a Funko Pop figurine on my desk, and I have a TARDIS figurine on my desk. I love them. Eccleston is my favorite Doctor, for what it's worth. I know he didn't like being the Doctor necessarily, but he's the best. But a sonic screwdriver is the regular screwdriver with vanilla vodka, but then you add blue curacao and you top it with lemon lime soda. It was really, really good, actually. It didn't taste too much different than a regular one, or a regular creamsicle, I gotta say. But if you're familiar with where I grew up, in the Woodlands, Texas, the Portofino shopping center had like an Old Navy and a Buca di Beppo, and for some reason, the water in their fountains and everything were dyed, it was dyed this horrible fake blue-green color, and that's exactly the color of this cocktail. That's all I could think about. Because it's orange juice and blue curacao, and that blue and orange just, they don't mix into a pretty color. Like a muddy green. And one that I thought was kind of funny was a cordless screwdriver, which is just a shot of vodka with an orange slice. I feel like that's taking some liberties with the screwdriver name. But let's go ahead and get on to the sex terms. So, screw, let's just continue on with that theme for a second. Likely taken from pig sex, which I'm sure we're all just super stoked about. But pigs have corkscrew-shaped penises, which I didn't know. I always thought their tails were the curly parts. But I guess it's to match the female's corkscrew-shaped cervical canal. So it fits right in there like a screw, and then it restricts the backflow of semen. So it's more likely that she'll get pregnant. Evolution is a weird fucking thing. Alright, on to pussy. Pussy likely comes from Old Norse or Old English. They had a word meaning pocket that was similar. I think that's pretty likely. But it turns out there was an old lewd country song from 1699 where they used pussy, and that was like the first written usage for pussy, meaning female genitalia. And just a little excerpt. This excerpt doesn't have pussy in it, but you can kind of see where it would fit. A pretty young kitty she had that could purr. 'Twas gamesome and handsome, and had a rare fur, and straight up I took it, and offered to stroke it, in hopes I should make it kind. So that's kind of fun. Alright, the word cock. This is where I learned some things. So it comes from the Old English cock, that's C-O-C-C, which means a male bird. Which, I mean, obviously we know rooster is a cock, but did you know roosters don't have a penis? Because I didn't. Apparently 97% of bird species don't have a penis. I thought it was the female with the cloaca, like turtles and stuff. They all have cloacas. But I thought the male still had a penis that went into the cloaca. No, they have their own cloacal vent, which has two nipple-like things inside of it. And they climb on top of the female, and they align their cloacal vents, and then they spew sperm from their weird little cloacal nipples into the female. And he can choose how much sperm he puts in her, so that he can save some for the other chickens, because he's a player. And then she can decide whether or not she even wants it. So a lot of times if the male doesn't measure up, she'll fight back. But, you know, nature is rapey. So sometimes he wins anyway. But then she still has a defense. So if she doesn't like the dude that's trying to impregnate her, she could just, like, spurt out his semen and be like, nah, bruh. I don't want it. That's impressive. Didn't know that. Oh, and apparently kangaroos and marsupials allegedly have two penises. That's what makes them marsupials. It's like one of the criteria. I have to do further research on that, but that was something my friend told me when I tried to tell him about the cocks not having cocks. So, in the 14th century, the word was pillicock or pillcock, which meant penis, and that likely came from Middle English, or it didn't come from Middle English, but in the Middle English in the 15th century, fiddicock meant penis, with fid, F-I-D, meaning peg or plug. So I think we can all see how that one came about. Alrighty, this is my favorite word of all time. Cunt! I know that's jarring for some of you. It's the only word that still has that effect. That's why I love it. In the 14th century in Middle English, the word was cunt, C-U-N-T-E, and it meant female genitalia. Might be from Lithuania, kutis, K-U-T-Y-S, which meant money bag, which I think is fan-fucking-tastic. But it looks like it was originally Latin. The word was cunus, C-U-N-N-U-S, and that was the word for the external female genitals. The first written usage in English was in a compound street name in Oxford. This is just so fantastic. It's called Grope Cunt Lane. In the year 1230 through the 14th century. And I'm sure you can probably guess what went on there, but that's where the hookers hung out. Sex workers. My bad. Alright, dick. This one came from the 1550s. It originally started as a rhyming nickname for Rick, which was short for Richard. Like Peg was a rhyming nickname for Meg, which was short for Margaret. Richard was one of the most common male names, so the nickname Dick became slang for a man. So, it was kind of organic from there. In 1891, in the Farmer's Slang Dictionary, which I didn't know was a thing, I kind of love that, Dick was listed as slang for penis, and it possibly came from British Army slang. Pegging. You may or may not know what pegging is. So pegging is when someone without a penis uses a strap-on to fuck someone with a penis in the ass. I think that's loosely the definition. And actually, it's a cool story. If you're familiar with Dan Savage, he's fabulous. He's a advice columnist. Started off with the Savage Love advice column. Now he has the Savage Love Cast, which is a great podcast. But they had a contest when they figured out that there was no term for the sex act, and pegging won. One that I just learned today was queening, or kinging. It's face sitting. I've just always called it face sitting. But it got me thinking, when you play checkers and you make it to the other side and you tell the person to king you, and they put a checker on top, is that where that comes from? Or an easy one, pearl necklace. That's just coming around someone's neck, so it looks like a pearl necklace. Easy peasy. Scissoring. Mutual clit or vulva rubbing with interlocked legs. This is pretty much just in porn, but I guess some people do like it. I don't. It's not really a thing. Edging. This is taking a sexual partner just to the edge of orgasm and backing off. It seems mean. It feels mean in the moment. Because you know just how good they're about to feel. And then you're like, haha, nope. But in the end, they end up having a more powerful orgasm. And I will say, watching someone lose their fucking mind when you finally let them come is delightful. Highly recommended. 10 out of 10. Would edge again. Not to be confused with edge play, though. So edge play is mental or physical activity that challenges the SSC criteria, generally held by those in the kink community. And the SSC criteria, it's anything that's safe, sane, and consensual. If you choose to test your limits for those, both parties have to be aware and consenting, of course. And then it's considered RACK, R-A-C-K, risk-aware consensual kink. And that can include anything from breath play, which is like erotic asphyxiation, fire play, knife play, fear play, etc. Figging. This is strange. I've heard of it before. I knew what it was. Still haven't heard of anyone actually doing it. So, drop me a line if you have and tell me why on earth this is fun for you. But it's inserting a peeled piece of fresh ginger into the anus, causing a burning sensation. That literally sounds terrible. I'm not here to kink shame, to each their own. But oh my god, no thank you. Right along those no thank you lines is felching, which is slurping cum out of an orifice of a sexual partner with or without the use of a straw. No thank you. I like cum. I like cum a lot. I'm good with where it ends up. Thanks. I don't need to be slurping it out of anywhere. To each their own. Bukkake. Speaking of loving cum, this is several people with penises ejaculating on someone else. Generally men ejaculating on women, but who am I to leave out anyone else with a penis? Or anyone else who wants to be, come on, frankly. Enjoy. Have a good time. Cuckolding is watching or hearing about a sexual partner engaging in sex acts with someone else for your own sexual satisfaction. So a lot of times this goes with humiliation, like, oh, his cock was so much bigger, he satisfied me in ways you could never, which gets some people off. I'm not into the humiliation or degradation thing, but some people really enjoy it, and some people I know really enjoy it, and it's kind of wacky when they tell you to be as mean as you possibly can, and then you are, and then it totally works for them. Again, to each their own. And you don't actually have to engage in the play. You could just be talking about fucking somebody else while you're with your partner, and it'll turn them on if they're into that. You don't actually have to go and do it, but some people take it to that level. That's similar to, or it's along the same vein as swinging, which is engaging in group sex or swapping of sexual partners within a group, and it's especially on a habitual basis. So, I'm sure you've heard of swingers. Usually a married couple that goes and partner swaps with other married